POV, you wake up tomorrow and discover you're a billionaire. You check your bank account, and for 5 seconds you think, bro, someone's hacked my account. Then you check it again. Nope, you're actually rich. So naturally, your first thought is, I'm buying everything I've ever wanted. Then you remember, you don't even know what billionaires actually buy. So you do what every normal person would do. You pick up a shirt, see the price, $12,000.
And your billionaire brain immediately says, too expensive. Then you remember, you literally have billions. So you buy the shirt. Then you think, actually, why am I buying just one? And suddenly, you're buying the entire store. 5 minutes later, you realize you have absolutely no idea what to do with the store. So you call your best friend. Bro, you won't believe what happened. Your friend. What? Did you finally get a job? You. No, I'm a billionaire.
Then your friend asks the most important question. Can you send me $200? And suddenly, you're calculating whether $200 is a good investment. You open a spreadsheet. You call your financial advisor. Your advisor looks at you and says, Sir, just give him the $200. Your friend replies, Thanks, bro. And for some reason, that $200 feels like your most important financial decision of the day. But then, your family finds out. Mom walks in. She looks around, and instead of saying, Wow, you're rich, she says, Son, what was the need to spend so much money? You say, Mom, I have billions. She says, Yes, so? I have to pay the electricity bill too. You look at the bill, and for the first time in your billionaire life, you're scared of the electricity bill. But being a billionaire comes with one tiny problem. You suddenly have way too much space. Your house is so big, you literally get lost trying to find your bedroom. So you call your assistant. You ask, Bro, where's my bedroom? He says, Sir, you're standing in it. And the bed is so huge, you still sleep on the exact same side. Next morning, you wake up. You decide to go somewhere. So obviously, you take your private jet. You sit down and immediately ask, Wi-Fi free, Hannah? The flight attendant looks at you like, Sir, you own the plane. You look around. Then you say, Oh, right. Now comes the fun part. Where do you even go when you can go anywhere? You spend 30 minutes choosing and finally decide to go to the same place you went every summer as a kid. Because apparently, money doesn't delete your childhood memories. But there's one thing money definitely changes. Suddenly, everyone wants to be your best friend. People you haven't talked to in 5 years suddenly text, Bro, remember me? You look at the message, and you're like, Wait, who is this? Then they say, Bro, we're basically family. You remember, this guy literally borrowed my pen once and never returned it. And now he's calling you brother? Then comes the sentence you were expecting. Actually, bro, I have a small business idea. Small business? You already know where this is going. He starts explaining the business idea. And somehow the small investment becomes $50 lakh. You say, Bro, you could have just asked for $200. But now you've discovered the biggest problem with being rich. Everyone suddenly wants something from you, so you hire security. Then you realize you have so much security, you can't even walk to the kitchen without an escort. You finally reach the kitchen. You open the fridge, and somehow there's nothing to eat. So you do what any billionaire would do. You order food. Except the delivery guy has to pass through 3 security gates just to deliver you 1 pizza. So you feel bad and give him a huge tip. He looks at the tip, and suddenly he starts questioning his entire career. He's like, maybe I should have invested in pizza. Meanwhile, you take the pizza upstairs, sit on your giant sofa,
and eat the same pizza you would have eaten before becoming rich. Because honestly, you're still you. The house changed. The car changed. But your brain? Exactly the same. The next morning, your alarm goes off, and you instinctively think, "Oh no, I'm late." Then you stop. Wait. I don't have to go to work. So you do what any responsible billionaire would do. You go back to sleep. 3 hours later, you don't feel guilty because who's going to fire you? You. And technically, you can't fire yourself. That's when you realize you don't need a schedule anymore. No meetings, no deadlines. And suddenly, you face the biggest problem of all. You have absolutely no idea what to do with your day. You can literally do anything, but when everything is possible, choosing what to do becomes the hardest part. Then you remember your old life. You used to get excited about the smallest things. A $50 snack with your friends, a random plan that made absolutely no sense, and somehow those were the best days. Maybe being a billionaire doesn't automatically make life better. Because money can buy almost anything, but it can't buy the feeling of being genuinely understood. So you call your best friend. You say, "Bro, wanna hang out?" Your friend says, "Sure, where?" You think for a second and say, "Let's just go get tea." And somehow, for the first time all day, you feel completely normal. Your friend looks at you and asks, "So, are you actually happy?" You stop. You look at your life. The mansion, the private jet, the billions. Then you look at your friend and you realize maybe being rich isn't about having everything. Maybe it's about having enough and having people to share it with. Later that night, you go back to your mansion. The cars are still there. The private jet is still there. The money is still there. But something about you has changed. You pick up your phone, and your friends have already made a group chat. The group chat is called Billionaire's Treat. The first message says, "Guys, tomorrow we're going for momos." You reply, "I'll book a private restaurant." Your friend replies, "No, bro, street side, $80 plate." You stare at the message. Then you smile. Next day, everyone sits down, and suddenly, being a billionaire doesn't matter anymore. Then, the waiter brings the bill, $640. You automatically reach for your card, but your friend grabs your hand. "Bro, split the bill." You stare at him. You're worth billions, and your friends are still making you pay your share. And honestly, this is probably the closest thing to being truly rich. After dinner, you walk home with your friends. No private jet, no luxury cars, just 4 idiots walking around and talking about absolutely nothing. Someone starts talking about an old school memory, and suddenly everyone is laughing. You realize something. The best moments in your life were never the expensive ones. They were the moments you couldn't buy. Because maybe the real flex was never having billions in your bank account. It was having people who knew you before the money and stayed after it. You keep walking. Your mansion is waiting. But for once, you don't care how expensive anything because someone makes one last stupid joke and you realize this is the part of being rich money could never buy.